Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know that you guys haven't seen me in such a long time and I'm really sorry about that, but I'm here today to sit down with you guys, catch up and answer some of the comments that you've left me. I'm going to go back a couple months because I see that there's quite a lot here. So I'm hoping that this video won't be too long, but if you left a comment or you just want to catch up with me, then definitely keep watching. Alright, guys, so first of all, I am so sorry that I haven't been around to respond to you guys or create content, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of my subscribers because you guys have grown my channel so much, and it's more than I ever expected actually. And you give me such nice feedback, and I'm glad that I'm able to help a lot of you, so that makes me really happy. But I just thought that I'd sit down with you guys today and tell you a little bit of what's been going on. So basically, in May, I we all got really sick. Um, it was really horrible because I was sick personally for like 8 weeks. So teaching was hard in this time. I couldn't do Munchaholic sales at all because I actually got COVID and swine flu at the same time. And honestly, this has been the like worst I've ever felt in my entire life when I've ever been sick. So that wasn't fun. And when I finally got better, then my grandmother, she had a stroke, and she was in hospital for about a month, and that was really difficult for us. And then a month ago, um, on the 31st of July, she unfortunately passed away. She's not suffering anymore, but it is still hard to accept, especially because, I spent the better part of 20 years with her every single day. So, yeah, there's just been a lot going on recently. And I guess besides actual energy, I think I just didn't have the mental capacity to do anything more than I had to do. So I am sorry, guys, for disappearing, but I am back now. I am trying to get back to normal and make some kind of routine out of the craziness that is my life. And I thought that I would start by just selecting certain comments and responding to those. There are some comments that need a separate video altogether. So I haven't forgotten about you if your comment doesn't come up in this video. I will just be doing a separate video to address that because maybe it's longer and I don't want to make this video too long. So let's get into some of your comments. All right, so the first comment that I have here is, hey, can I teach through my phone? And I get this a lot on TikTok and on YouTube. And yes, it is quite possible to teach on Preply through your phone. You can access the classroom, but my experience doing this, it's not great because you can't access the library. I never use the library, but whenever I open up the chat, my video freezes, and I don't know, just using my phone's internet connection or my phone in any way for teaching, it's just never been very convenient for me. So the short answer is yes, but the long answer is it's better to have a laptop. All right, so the next question here says, hello Yurishka, is it possible for a teacher to use their own material? How can a teacher realize that you seek this platform? Okay, so if you're using your own material that you created, you can either upload it onto the whiteboard or you could share it in the chat. And I have done a video about how to do both of these things. So if you just go back onto my playlist, you will find it. Otherwise, you can just use the library, but it's completely possible. And if you want to maybe do a lesson using a video from YouTube, you can share your screen with your student. You can send the link to them as well. And you can use the whiteboard to do that as well, because you can download videos from YouTube onto the whiteboard. So all of that is in a previous video that I did cover. Okay, so the next question is from Deirdre Basson, and she says, wow, so informative. Thank you so much. It clears out so many questions. I would just like to know, do you get a printout of the module to use in future just to recap and stay informed? Okay, So with TEFL Universal, you only have access to your modules and your certificate for 6 months. Well, sorry, not your certificate, the modules and the lessons for 6 months. So what I did is I copied and pasted certain things to my Google Drive. So I created a email address and I opened a separate Google Drive, and I just copied and pasted each of the lessons there. It takes a very long time, but that was the only way that I could do it apart from actually printing it out. I don't have a printer, so I couldn't do that. But maybe you could try that and hopefully that works for you. It did for me, so when I do need to go back and refresh, I do have the material on hand. Okay, so the next question is from Untold Stories, and they're asking about PayPal. All right, so it says, hi, Yuri, just want to know, can I start my application on Preply, then register for PayPal? Or do I register first? And also, do I need a TEFL certificate? And should the PayPal account be business or personal? Okay, so here, first of all, I had a PayPal account for a long time. It just wasn't active. I'm not sure why I had it. But it's good to have everything set up and ready before you start teaching. So you can do the application, but before you have your first lesson, it's great to have your PayPal set up so that if you do need to get paid, you can, and there aren't any problems. And then if I'm not mistaken, I have a personal account on PayPal. It's not a business account. And all you do is, it's easy if you have an FNB bank account. You basically link your FNB card to your PayPal account. They will take a small charge off your card just as a test, and then they reverse that payment, and then your profile will be active. So with regards to your TEFL certificate, definitely do a TEFL certificate before you apply anywhere. Because right now the market is so saturated with just everybody wanting to do teaching because they think it's so simple and easy that just being a native speaker isn't always enough. So it's best to have a TEFL certificate, and that way you kind of have like some backbone to your application, and it will make you stand out from just those people who are applying as native community tutors, for example. Okay, so the next question is asking about how can you give your students assignments using the library. So I also did do a lesson about this I also did a video about this before, about how to set up a course, right? So when you go into the library and you're searching through all the topics, it would say open or add to lesson plan or add to course. So you need to click on add. So what will happen is it will automatically appear for your student, and they can walk through those as well. Alternately, what you can do is, if you are having a hard time and your student also doesn't know how to navigate it properly, you can give them the name of the lesson. They type it into their search bar and it comes up and they can complete it. Then the other question that I keep getting is about how much I paid for my TEFL certificate. I did do an in-depth video about this, but basically it's still 219 Rand for a 120-hour certificate. And you can do other certificates on there. They have a 60-hour teaching young learners, and they also have a 150-hour certificate as well. I know that there are free places like Teacher Record that you can do a certificate. I just never use the platform, which is why I don't recommend it on my channel, because I use TEFL Universal, and when people use them, I am an affiliate, so I do get some sort of incentive. So that's kind of my reward for all of the free information that I put out with love. But in any case, if your budget doesn't allow the 219 Rand, then use Teacher Record, because I've seen a lot of people who've used it and they say that it's accredited and it works. Okay, so Priya is asking, how do I figure out the time zone? Guys, you don't need to worry about the time zone unless you are physically scheduling lessons for your students, which honestly you shouldn't do that, and I'll give you a reason why, okay, just now. But basically, when you look at your calendar, you are seeing everything in your time zone. When your student looks at your schedule, it then converts it automatically for them, and they see it at their time, right? So you don't need to worry about time zone. But also, avoid scheduling lessons for your students. And here's the reason why. I have been asked by students to schedule lessons for them in the past, and I did. And basically, what happens is sometimes the student forgets that they have a lesson, they have a business meeting, or they have some other commitment, and they don't attend the class. Now, Preply will give you two options. You can either reschedule the lesson to, as they say, build your relationship with your student and keep everything in good spirits, or you can charge the student. Now, with me, the first time this happens, I will be lenient and I will reschedule the lesson. Or if the student contacts me before and says, listen, this is an emergency, please can you reschedule it for me, then I will. But if a student just does not pitch and continuously does it, it's a pattern. Or if, for example, they did not contact me prior to the lesson to say, listen, I can't make it, can you do it? Because a student can only reschedule 4 hours prior to a lesson. And if they reschedule or they want to reschedule or cancel the lesson 4 hours before, they are charged for it. Now, the thing is, this is your time, and that slot could have been booked by another student, so you should get paid if they miss it. But if you schedule the lesson for your student, then Preply sometimes they dispute this because they say that you scheduled it and not your student. So maybe your student wasn't aware, and not all students are honest. So even if they asked you to schedule this lesson at 9 a.m. on Monday, because they missed it and they don't want to pay for it, they'll say to Preply, oh, I wasn't aware, I didn't ask her to do that. So if you are scheduling lessons for students, maybe try get them to write in the chat so that there's proof that you still get paid. But in any case, I think it's just easier if they schedule their own lessons, then you don't have to worry about their time zone. And if they don't pitch, you can cancel and get paid for the lesson, which you totally deserve because it's still your time. Okay, so the next person says, hi, I applied and was not approved. Said I did not meet the criteria. I'm not exactly sure what that means. As I followed your application video, I'm thinking of applying again. What do you think? Also, can I use the same email address? So no, you cannot. You need to create a new email address and then reapply. Now, when you reapply, just make sure that the picture that you're using is as per their guidelines. The video that you are using is as per the guidelines, and that in your introduction video, you are speaking properly and clearly, okay? The other thing is, you need to make sure that you have a valid TEFL certificate, okay? So it needs to be accredited, right? And you need to be able to upload that. Because I have noticed that a lot is changing. They are asking students to get a TEFL certificate. They are asking teachers to have a TEFL certificate, and that is because there's so many native speakers on there, so it's really saturated. And I've had, in like the past 2 months, I've had a lot of students who've told me like horror stories about teachers and lessons that they've had, which I will share with you guys, don't you worry. But still, it's just because a lot of people think that this is just talking to a person. And yes, it is, but there's also a lot of other things that go hand in hand with speaking to a person, okay? So maybe your TEFL certificate, your video or something wasn't up to par, but try again, but using a different email address, and all the best to you with that. Okay, so the next question is from Andile. Hi, how long did it take you to get your certificate? It took me quite a while because I did explain this in a previous video, but I was doing it at night with a newborn. But once I completed, I think in like 2 or 3 weeks I completed it. It literally took me 3 days to get my certificate. So it was pretty fast. Sometimes there can be a delay, and that could be because their site is down. It happened to one of my friends. So if you contact them on Facebook, they'll generally give you feedback and help you. So I would say work on 3 days. That's how long it took for me. Okay, so the next person is Precious and says, hi Yuri, thank you so much for sharing information. I am new to Preply. I want to ask, can I choose any course from the library for my trial lesson? And if student books a lesson, which materials do I use? Do I choose for them, or they choose what they want to learn? Okay, So whenever I get a new student and they book a trial lesson, I always thank them for doing this. I remind them to complete their placement test, and mainly in the placement test, I focus on the 3 voice notes at the end. And then basically what normally happens is they'll give you a reason. It will say this person, like John, is taking English with you to learn career and business. Okay, so once you know that, you can go and choose something for the trial lesson if you like. Some students already set up a course while they're waiting for the date of the lesson or whatever the case is. However, I did share in one of my videos, I don't do an actual lesson for a trial. I take that hour, or this in this case 50 minutes. Thank God it's decreased by 10 minutes. I actually saw that they were testing out 25-minute trials, but I haven't had anyone book a 25-minute trial. But in any case, I take that hour to get to know the student, find out what their weaknesses are, listen to them speak, find out what their job is, what they're using English for, like, what they're interested in, so that I can, create lessons around that. And also just to see what kind of person they are throughout that hour. If I feel like there's a connection, because I think I did mention this in a previous video, I don't teach every single student that I have a trial with. And it's not because I'm picky and I'm not being ungrateful. I know there's a lot of people who are looking for students and not getting them. But there are some students that are completely difficult. And it's like impossible to have a good time, and they just steal your joy. So with students like that, you have to decide, are you a good fit or not? Because there might be a teacher whose personality fits them better. So yeah, I don't do a lesson in my trial. I take that time to ask them questions. I show them examples of lessons that I will do. I tell them what kind of course I can set up for them. Obviously, these are lessons that I'm getting myself. I'm not using Preply's lessons. So yeah, that's what I do in my trial lessons. And believe it or not, I will actually show you my conversion from trial to student rate up here. And it's actually very, very good. So what I'm doing works for me, but you guys obviously do what works for you. If you're comfortable doing a lesson, then definitely do a lesson. But in that first lesson, like I said in the video that I did about trial lessons, is try to connect with the student. Okay, and then the last question from Non-Tobacco is, are there any penalties if you hold your lesson on Zoom and not the Preply platform due to technical issues? Right. You don't have any penalties with this. You can have the class outside Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, whatever. However, it is then up to the student to go back to Preply to confirm your lesson. So most students have their lessons on auto confirm, and some students have it where like it's not, they have to manually confirm it, and some of them forget, which drives me insane. Because then you have to remind them. But either way, it should, without dispute, be automatically confirmed after 72 hours, right? But all you have to do is you'll put in the chat to the student that you're having the lesson on Zoom due to technical difficulty. Then you have the lesson on Zoom. Then you come back and you say the lesson has been completed. But Preply does need the student to say that the lesson happened. They won't just take your word for it. So that's the tricky part if you have a dishonest student, which I have had in the past, and it was a real bitch to get paid for that lesson. But in any case, there are no penalties. You can use other platforms. However, you should never like word it in a way that you're asking a student to take private lessons with you, like away from Preply, and pay you directly and stuff, because then they're going to ban your account completely. But yeah, those are all the questions that I'm going to answer like this. There are some longer questions here, which I'm going to do separate videos on those. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. These answers helped you guys. And I'm sorry that for some of these, the answers are late. But nevertheless, hopefully it will help someone else. And I've been looking at the comments, and thank you so much for all the lovely feedback. And also for you guys helping each other. I see sometimes when I don't reply, someone else picks up the slack and talks about their experience. And that's great, because I'd love to create a community here where we can support each other and help each other and share information, because I mean, what else is life about? But anyway, guys, you guys take care, and I will catch you guys in the next video.